What's up, y'all? I'm the actor with the pen, the author of 6 novels, and the host of Tasmania. Enjoy the show.
I'm just trying to chase dreams, but I think they chase me.
Welcome to another episode of Tapped In with Tony. I am your host, Tony Bogan, and tonight joining me is Ravenna native, actor, author of Beautiful Hue, Dantes James. Welcome
Hey,
to the show.
thank you for having me, Tony. This has been a long time coming, so I'm excited to be doing this with you.
I'm excited to be honest with you as well, man. First question, get right into it. Where are you from? For people who don't know, who are probably just listening for
Okay,
the first time.
got you. So, I'm from originally Cleveland, Ohio. I grew up in Ravenna, so I definitely claim both. I went to school in Warrensville Heights, coming up, Harvey Rice Elementary School when I was younger. Uh, you know, but mostly I really claim Ravenna and Cleveland, honestly. So I grew up in the Kent area. For people who aren't familiar with Ravenna, Kent State University is like right up the road. So I spent a lot of time in those places.
What was your favorite go-to spots there as far as food goes, especially growing up?
My favorite go-to spots were Swenson's. I still go back to Swenson's every time I go back home, and that was in Kent. And then in Ravenna, there's actually this spot called Guido's. They
Mm.
have some of the best hot wings I've ever had in my life. In LA, it's kind of hard to find those spots. So when I come home, that's another spot I have to make sure I hit up when I come back. So,
Course. I live right by Guido, so I gotta check them out
hey,
myself.
yes, sir. Guido's, and also check out Giannino's. Their fried chicken,
Oh yeah.
they don't miss. Hmm.
And what did you end up doing in high school, middle school? I believe you ran track in high school, Ravenna.
I ran track in high school at Ravenna, but funny, a cool thing is I was also a part of after school programs. Like there was this program called the SAVE program, and there were other programs like the NAACP. I
Mm.
did some volunteer work with where I had a job at the King Kennedy Center just to make sure that becoming a mentor to the youth like my mentors were for me in Upward Bound. So I did a lot of sports, but I made sure that I stayed in touch with the community and just, you know, figured out different ways to help people out or just to figure out what I wanted to do in life.
Yeah, that's huge. Especially Ravenna's a bit of a smaller community, but you've got
Yeah.
Kent next door. It's
Mhm.
definitely huge to have that camaraderie.
Yeah, big time, big time. It was a blessing, man. And even to this day, there's still so many people I keep in touch with that helped me out when I was younger. And to see everything come full circle, you know, my mentor from Upward Bound, Jelani Dorsey, he's my business partner now. And looking at the journey 10 years later, just see everything come back full circle is pretty cool. So being a part of those programs, in the moment you don't know why you're doing them, but looking back now, I see exactly why I did everything that I was doing. So it's a blessing.
Great. And where did you end up going to college? I know you would
Mhm.
think Ravenna, Kent. Some people would think, oh, we probably went to Kent State.
Right. That was my assumption too. When I was in high school, my dad and I had a conversation, and all he really wanted me to do was graduate high school. So college for me wasn't on the radar at first. And then, I just remember talking to my boys, and we all made decisions together a lot of times. So, one of them got into the University of Akron, and I had applied. I was waiting for some college offers to come in from track. So I was like, hopefully something happens. But, it's Ravenna, and not many people had their eyes on us for track back then. So I went and applied to the University of Akron. I got in, and then from there, I spent a lot of time not knowing exactly what I wanted to do. So I was undecided for a little while. And then I took up sports medicine. And then I took up theater. And when I came across theater, I remember just feeling like these math classes are going to hold me back if I don't just go for it, because I wasn't big into math back then. In high school, I paid attention in school, but the books, I'm not a by the book person. I love to learn in the field. I like to go through the motions by being on the set. So, I went to the University of Akron for about a year, and then from there, uh, I just figured out who I was. I wanted to figure out who I am and what I really wanted to do. You know, so
Nice. And
that,
you are also an author. I believe you were featured on WZIP a couple times. So
I
tell us
was.
about that.
Thank you. So with that, I started writing books when I was 11. I wanted to figure out how to pay for my mom's kidney transplant when I was younger. That was always my mission, to save my mom. I was doing poetry back then, and I was doing poetry back then, and the poems were like these sad poems about what I was going through, the struggles that my mom was dealing with at the time, that she's still going through today. And I wanted to help. I wanted to give her something to look forward to, you know. And I wrote that book, We All Do Dumb Things, my very first one. I have a copy of it right here. I can show it to if you want me to.
Sure.
But so this was that. The first one was We All Do Dumb Things. That's this one right here. It's also on my website. But I wrote this book, and I was just writing with some friends and just trying to figure out, just trying to figure out how to make turn the pain into something positive. So we made stories back in the day, and it's really even cooler because this is actually the first time I'm showing this on anywhere. So like, this was the very first book that was We All Do Dumb Things when I was 11.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can see the snowman, a bunch of my peers and classmates. They wrote on it, "Olivia loves you."
Oh.
It was really cool, man. My late friend Bianca, she passed when I was in college, but she wrote her name there. I make sure I go over it and underline and highlight it as much as I can because, I don't want those things to fade. But just even having this, it's history. It's broken apart years and years, but just to stay on track, I wanted to pay for my mom's kidney transplant when I was younger. WKYC, they featured me to talk about being an author, a young author, and trying. I was just an extra back then in the acting world, so it was very interesting working on the projects that I was working on within 6 months of trying to pursue that thing. So, it was a blessing to be able to get that spotlight back then. And looking back at those interviews, sometimes I think it's cringe. But if I wasn't the person that I was, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I'm grateful for all of that stuff.
That's amazing, man. Just it started off with you wanting to help your mom out, and all of a sudden you've written multiple books, and I'm gonna talk about you going to Hollywood a little bit, but who are your inspirations as far as like, as you started off writing and as you continued? We'll touch back on that in a little bit.
Absolutely. Mom Dukes is definitely the first. My brother and sisters, we all keep each other going. Everybody is so talented in the fields that they're doing. My sisters are pursuing nursing. My brother, he's doing his thing. He's taking care of his family, and you don't know what your inspirations are until you become older. For me, I just turned 30, so now I'm looking at life a lot differently. It's not about the glory and everything, the Hollywood lights and stuff like that. For me, it's so cool. It's a reward, but now I'm pursuing that like it's because it is a passion. It's something I want to do for the rest of my life. And my inspirations being my family, being my lady, being my mentors, and even my friends. Uh, there's been so many people that has been pursuing their dreams just because I was delusional enough to believe that I was capable of doing something that nobody where we're from has ever done before. You know, we go way back from ACN days. Those were the days where I was just talking about, I want to go do this acting thing and stuff like that, and not really understanding what it was going to take. But yeah, man, everyone that has been supportive of this journey for the last 10 years, they're all my inspirations. My number ones are my dad, my grandfather, my brothers, sisters, mom, grandma, and my lady. But it's definitely a tribal thing here.
That's amazing, man. And they say, just a kid from Ravenna that went on to do some big things. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do until my late 20s, and I'm going to be 32 in June. Nice. I started doing video content stuff for Keon Sports. If you'd have told me I would have covered high school state championships for football and baseball back in 2014, 2015, I would have laughed at you.
Right.
But years later, it happened. It became reality.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I ironically live in Ravenna. Straight right.
And that blows my mind that you live in Ravenna now. I'm like, how did that happen? But we could get into that another time, man. But I do want to give you your roses, bro, and congratulations, because it's not easy. In our mid-20s, we feel like, we wasted time. No. And this really goes for anybody. There's no such thing as wasted time unless you're not doing anything with the time ever. Like, people keep worrying about when or if it's too late to pursue a dream. I started early because my back's been against the wall. I was born into this world as a sick baby, premature, with my intestines outside my body. So for me, I have always wanted to see ultimately what I can do, what I can accomplish before I could kick the bucket.
Yeah.
Outside of my mom being my inspiration, I just want to achieve every single dream that I can achieve. Because what else are we going to do with this world, on this earth, in this world?
We only have 24 hours in a day.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And even less time on this earth. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, you ended up moving to Hollywood. What went into the plan as far as, like, I know you touched on wanting to be an actor. So what led you to take the risk and bet on yourself?
Man, when I first started working as an actor, I was I thought that I was going to be moving to California a lot sooner. The month that I decided to act, June 15th of 2014, I said to myself, I woke up, I was living with my homeboy and his grandma. We were in between college and after our first year of college. And I remember waking up one morning and I said, yo, I want to be an actor. He's like, but you ain't never acted a day in your life. I said, I know, but I feel like I could do this thing. He's like, I just talked to him this morning. He said to me, well, if it's anybody who could do it, you could do it. And then we started acting out scenes in the very first book, We All Do Dumb Things. And it was horrible. It was straight trash, garbage. But it was so cool because to share a dream with somebody off of the very first thought. Every decision that you make from there on goes off of what they think first. Meaning, if he had a different opinion on it, I don't even think my resume would be where it is today. Because to have belief in yourself is one thing, but to have people that really believe in you, like a family, closest friends, people that really show that they support you, to have that is like, that's all the energy that you need in the beginning. So I'm, you know, I'm lost. I lost track of the question, but that's is definitely important to have people around you that are going to push you to where you want to go.
Exactly. And I, even as a high school sports, mainly high school sports content creator, I had 2018, I was 26 years old. I'd moved to Kent. I didn't even know when or even if I was going to be doing anything related to sports. I got on with TV too, even though I didn't even go to the school. Did some video, and then lo and behold, a few months later, Vince McKee, one of my great mentors, Vince McKee of Keon Sport, he founded Keon Sports. I jumped on board a few months after in 2019, and then it had been on from there. So just you know, it just takes a desire to want to do it. Like, I didn't have a license, so I had to get rides to and from games. I've had to take the bus, but
The grind.
yeah, you have to. If you really want to go after something, you'll do whatever it takes. And I've had my share of doubters, and I've also had my share of supporters.
Yeah, and you know, the doubters, they only doubt because, one, you're probably the first. Two, it's not personal. There's a lot of people out here with dreams. We just have to build the resumes to back it up.
Yep.
And what led me to coming to Los Angeles, I just remember. I'm just sorry. I just remembered.
Oh, you're all good, man.
I thought I was going to move out here sooner, and then I ended up waiting, and somehow it just seemed like God was working and orchestrating this whole journey, and I know he is, because I was going to move here with no resume, and then because I didn't even know that projects were filming in Cleveland. So I started looking up projects. I looked up casting calls. I found scams. I've come across scams. Almost paid thousands of dollars to learn how to act.
Wow.
But within that summer, and I was blessed to be able to become an extra on a movie called The Bronze. And I remember making my very first $50. My friend Camille, she took me to set. She picked me up, took me to set, and it was my first experience there. It was in Cleveland, and we filmed a scene, and I remember being in the crowd looking down and saying to myself, I want to be in front of the camera. I just remember having that thought, and I felt like it was so far away, but in that moment I felt so close. This was the closest I've ever been to a movie camera. So, you know, and I'm in a crowd, like it's probably 100 feet away from me. If not further, it's very far away. But I wanted to be in front of the camera. From there, I did another movie. I was an extra on a featured extra on a movie called With This Ring, with Jill Scott, Regina Hall, and Eve. Wow. It was a lot of fun to be a part of that, man. It was eye-opening. I would show up to set. I would help them set up early, and if I could, I would be staying late, helping the crews take things down. I remember trying to speak on set one time, and old head told me, he said, if they don't pay you to speak, don't give it to them for free. I'm like, dang, I was just trying to do a little muffle, you know? I'm just trying to, you know, just let me, hey, miss, you know, something small. But I didn't know what that meant. Then I realized that they actually get paid a lot of money to say some lines, you know? So I started to really watch what they were doing, and I stayed out the way. I was an extra, and I would know how to find the cameras, and everything I've been an extra in, I promise you, I'm featured at least a little part of the side of my face, but I'm right there always. I'm paying attention.
So you're like doing scouting.
You said scouting?
Yeah, so it's kind of like coach scouts for like a team or something like that.
It was college. I couldn't even be a coach scouting at that point. I had to be water boy. I had to be water boy. I was watching everything. Half the time I wouldn't even want to go to lunch because I'm trying to figure out what is that actor doing in this scene and how can I bring that and make it. I didn't even know how to make it mine at that point. You know, I'm just now learning how to put myself in these characters and just be, just flow instead of trying to act, because there's a huge difference between it. But back then, you know, I wanted to watch them. Yes, a little bit of scouting, but it was like I'm absorbing all the information. I'm learning what the people behind the cameras are doing. I'm learning how these actors are staying as still as they can within these shots so that they can make sure that the camera's not moving too much. Like, it was really, if I was going to drop out of school, I was going to take every opportunity that I could to get on a movie set and learn every detail that I need to learn to be able to get in front of that camera one day, audition, not just audition, but actually book some stuff. Because it wasn't a hobby. It's not a hobby. Even to this day, it's something that I want to do for the rest of my life. I'm already living the dream through seeing the excitement that my mom gets when she gets to talk to my co-stars on set behind the scenes. You know, when she gets to tell her friends and our family members, yo, he's about to be in this and be in that, and you know, it's my mom's been through so much, so I'm living a dream. So now I can just focus on the life that I'm trying to build from 30 to 40 now.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, man. That's you're definitely putting in the work, man. And speaking of co-stars, a couple questions, additional questions I had. Talk briefly about your other roles and some movies people might have seen you in, and also a big one. How was it like getting to meet Will Smith on the set of Concussion?
Got you. I'll start with Will Smith because that's like right along the beginning story too. I prayed for that 6 months before it happened. When I tell you when I say I was studying before I even stepped on the movie set for the Bronze, I was up early in the morning. I still wake up at the same time, 2 a.m. And I remember watching inspirational videos of Will Smith through the first 3 months of trying to become an actor. I was just studying what he was doing. I was studying his inspirational speeches. I'm dissecting words to the point to where I am manifesting that I want to work with Will Smith this year. I'm praying that I'm working with Will Smith this year in 2014. 6 months go by. I've done a couple movies as an extra. And I remember doing this one movie. It was about Cleveland abduction. Cleveland abduction was what it was called. I was doing that movie, and I had on this hospital gown, and it was just so crazy to me that a week later, I remember submitting for a role in Concussion. I reached out to the casting director. I never met her before. It's in Pittsburgh of all places. So I reach out to her, and I don't get the part that I initially went out for. I submitted to be a football player with like over 100 extras. There was no way I was ever going to meet Will Smith in that, but I just wanted to go work with him to figure out how he's doing this. You know, I wanted to talk to him. I wanted to give him a copy of my book. There was a lot to unpack. I really thought that, you know, Will was going to put me on. I was like, yo, I got my own stuff. You know, I'm just trying to come up, but I didn't want anything. But a little part of me was feeling like, you know, I'm about to get put on. So I show up to set. I get the role of Dead Body. The casting director she reaches back out to me after I don't get the first part, and I remember having to reach out to my job, and you know, they were very supportive at the time. So the next day, I hit up a friend. She drove me to Pittsburgh. She had to do an exam the same day that I had to be on set. Thank God, her professor was able to let her do her exam a little bit later because there was a blizzard that day too. So I went to Pittsburgh, had nowhere to stay. another friend of mine that she went to Streetsboro, a rival school for us in track, and I reached out to her, and we all, me, her, and a bunch of her dorm mates, we were in Pittsburgh the first day of my fitting, and it was so like it was a dream, man. Like even thinking about everything that led up in that moment, how everything worked out. We slept in the lobby. It was like 8 of us in the lobby sleeping. And I wake up the next morning and everybody's looking for Ubers. They're trying to get me to set. All of these students at Duquesne University in Pittsburgh. And 3 Ubers show up at one time. I'm like, I'm going with the closest one. One guy took me to set. I get there. I hear Will Smith's voice. He's yelling in the background. And I'm thinking to myself, like, yo, I'm here. It's time. I'm with the other extras. In the scene, they had to put a bullet hole in my head. So they put a bullet wound here because my character gets shot in the head. And Will has to do an autopsy on my body. And there was 2 or 3 other people in the scene, but he had to do an autopsy on all of us. And I remember going to set after the crew set everything up. And it was cool. I see Will, he sees me. We make eye contact. I'm like, all right. He stays in character. I'm not going to fan out because I'm here to work too. Now it's game time. I'm watching Will. I'm studying. But it's game time. I got to make sure I'm playing a dead body today. So I got to make sure my dead body face is on. So we are in the room. There's 2 other people to our right and to my right. Everybody's getting ready for the scene. I have to get down and I have to play dead. The director says cut, says action. I go into character, and for some reason I heard Will Smith, he's talking and saying his lines, and I just start smiling. And I'm this dead body laying down. And I just start cheesing, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm in a movie with Will Smith right now. This is going to last forever. I'm going to be in this movie with Will Smith forever. And I was just dreaming about this the whole 6 months leading up to it. And if I had gotten the first part that I wanted, there was no way I was going to be able to have a moment where we're standing around talking about the scar I have on my stomach from my intestines being outside my body. Him giving me the knowledge that he doesn't even know he gave me. He gave me so much knowledge being on that set, watching him go in and out of characters, watching him navigate between talking to crew and still being respectful. He showed me what being an actor looks like on and off screen, and being able to talk with him afterwards, man, that set the bar for me. I was just on a set recently, and being able to be in a place to give advice to new actors on set, extras, like Will Smith gave advice to me. I'm no Will Smith on set, but if I can inspire somebody like he inspired me, I want to do that for somebody else. So he showed me what it meant to really be an actor and not just be in this for the fancy stuff. Afterwards, he gave me the advice. He told me to ride the waves of life, because in this business, things come and go. So just go with the flow. Being an author, being an actor, now being a businessman, being a family man, I always stay busy. So if there's one thing that's not going on right now, if auditions slow down, I focus on writing, because I'm riding the waves, and I'm not trying to get focused. I'm not trying to get caught up with getting a role anymore, because 1, I want to make sure I even want to do the role for multiple months, years, and 2, to make sure that I could really bring something special to it. It's not just about booking anymore. We want to book the right stuff. And I'm in a place in my life where I want to inspire with my roles. I want to heal with my roles. So now being in this position, everything that Will taught me back then was definitely helpful. And, to take it a step further, with the roles that I've gotten recently on with HBO Max being one. I remember getting off the plane, coming to LA, and I remember seeing a billboard on Sunset. They got it, what I love about California is that there's movie billboards everywhere. So you know, there's always for the dreamers out here. There's always the seed planted that one day that could be you.
Yep.
I saw a billboard for Ballers of the Rock on Sunset on this big building. It was the billboard. The Rock's face was as long as the billboard. And I remember thinking, I want to work for HBO one day. The same year I moved here, 8 months into 8 months into auditioning. I had over 150 auditions the first year I moved here. I would three a week, and all the way up to October. I ended up just getting this one audition for a TV show called Made for Love. I got the audition. It was a day player. That means that we're not a day player. It was a co-star, my very first co-star in the TV show. And it was one day, maybe 2 pages. And the role's name was Shirtless Guy. I went into the audition, and I remember before I had even said any words, I said, I got to get my power back. I have to figure out what makes me special and not what makes this acting thing special. You know, I have to shine outside of just being an actor. This isn't about just saying that you're doing this thing. This is about like what work are you am I putting in to really prove that I'm doing this. And I had just moved here. It's the month October, the month that I told my dad that I might be moving back in October. If you know, not if anything, I was just planning on moving back. I didn't know that I was going to get this many auditions. I moved here because of a producer. He was a producer on My Friend Dahmer. He became my manager. I had 2 movies released the same day before moving to California. With this ring, My Friend Dahmer and Last Flag Flying. And when those 2 movies released the same day, my manager at the time, he reached out to me. He asked me if I've ever been here for pilot season, and I'd never been here. And then I ended up moving here. I told my dad, October, I'll be back. I booked in October, Made for Love. And then I realized that there might not be no turning back for a minute if I'm really going to take this serious. So,
wow, that's amazing. That's just truly amazing. It's that from how it all started. Like you went to Pittsburgh, you had your friends bring you along, and you guys were able to find place at Duquesne University. That's just amazing how everything just shook out.
It's a tribe, bro. When I say I've been blessed with so many dope people from the moment that I wanted to do this, I really have not done any of this by myself. Like I may break down my scripts. I do a lot of work when it comes to making sure that I'm prepared because I don't want to embarrass my people. So, you know, I'm too competitive. So I'm gonna make sure I'm doing my job. But the amount of support that I've had along the way over all these years, I just want to make sure I give everybody their roses back because I wouldn't be where I am today, getting the offers that I'm getting today, without the community support. You know.
Oh yeah, as they say, it takes a village.
It does. It does. That's for sure.
And speaking of some of those roles, I believe you were in a Lids commercial. Tell us about that.
Lids came about from a friend that I was working at the front desk at the gym in North Hollywood. There's a lot of actors in the area, and a friend of mine saw that I had just had Made for Love come out, and she said, "Hey, you should audition for this thing." So I auditioned. I got the tape. I got the sides. It's like 2 pages long. You seen the commercial, and I had to remember all of those lines for the commercial. So I had about 2 or 3 days. I sent it the day before the deadline. I was really trying to figure it out because these California auditions are way different from the ones I was used to. So to get 15-page auditions was normal after a while. But having to prepare an audition, being on a time crunch, being your own cameraman, because now we have to do self-tapes, and trying to find out the tone and being in the director's mind, because we don't get any feedback now these days. So trying to figure all that stuff out, there was no way I was going to be able to do that by myself. My girlfriend, she's an actress, and she's really dope too. So she helped me break down the scene. We watched some commercials from Lids, and then I went in and I did my audition. And as soon as I finished, we looked at each other. I said, I think that was it. She's like, send that. So I sent in the tape. We got this thing called callbacks after you audition, your first audition. I did my callback at work at North Hollywood in the break room. I took my self-tape set up. I took my box lights. I set everything up in the lunchroom. And I was praying that nobody came into the gym in the break room while I was doing my stuff. But I set everything up. The automatic lights in the break room turned off, and I'm doing my Zoom audition. And I remember right before going on, seeing the other guys in the waiting room, and I remember thinking like, dang, he looks like he could, be in Liz, do a Liz commercial. That person looks like they could do a Liz commercial. And then I was like, but what about you? What about me? What about my power? What if I could get this commercial? And then I started to just take your power back. I was giving my energy and power to many other people. I was giving people the roles without even thinking about it, And then when I switch my thoughts, and then I go into the room, and I'm able to be freed up to the point to where somebody could walk in this break room right now and mess this whole thing up, not knowing that this is for Lids, and it's okay. Because whatever happens is supposed to happen in a moment. And I just let it take me away. I did the scene. And then a couple of days later, I got booked for Lids. It was a very, very emotional experience, because the day I found out I got the role, I was with my dad, and he was battling cancer. And it was the last time that I saw my dad. We got to share that together. So, booking Lids, that was always going to be special. And then the content, I had no clue of the impact I had no clue of the importance of the message that was really being shared with Lids until after seeing it. Ironically, Lids came out 3 days after my dad had actually passed. So, it was a blessing to be able to see it. It was a blessing to be able to share that with them. So to be able to have that on my IMDb, to have it proud on my YouTube, there's so much more to it than just it being a commercial, because I just wanted to make, my family proud, my pops proud, and to be able to represent a historic message like the message that Lids is. That's always going to be special for me.
Oh, absolutely. I bet, man. And that probably took on a lot more meaning. And I know I saw the commercial at the Grace jersey on. Yeah. So you represent Negro League Baseball, and I'm one of the few sports content creators who covers baseball in the area.
Right. Yeah. So I know. So you was excited about that for sure, bro. It was so cool. And you could feel it. I have some behind the scenes footage that I'm going to be posting on my YouTube. Some of it is already up, but you could feel the electricity that was on set from looking at the behind the scenes, and how important it was, and how everybody took it serious. And to be the only person on a set ever, my very first close up.
Yeah.
Bro.
God did.
For real. Exactly, bro.
Yeah. And I know that what are some future projects that you were working on? Because I know obviously COVID and a lot of the stuff that went on during 2020 had a pretty huge impact on the entertainment industry.
For
That
sure.
and also the writer strike as well last year.
For sure. Man, I affected heavily affected. And that's creatively. I always go right back to what Will told me as far as riding the wave. Everything has patterns. So when the business kind of slows down, it's just ready time to focus on something else. So, you know, I just try my best to stay focused on the mission. And the mission for me is to make my family happy, to live my life. And now, being a grown man, now I'm trying to make sure I lay down the foundation to be able to really have a career, have a family lifestyle in the future. So, as long as I'm writing my books, I'm getting ready to shoot my own projects. I need to stay busy. I can't just we can't just depend on the industry to give us the roles, especially when people are out here making their own.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of great things that I'm very proud of, and there's so many dream projects out there that I want to be a part of. Some of them are a lot closer than I could say right now, but when the industry's up and booming, I'm ready to work. But when it's slowing down, it just means that it's time for me to get my mind right. It's time to slow it down and just focus on, okay, what is God really trying to tell us right now? Okay, so even right now, I'm getting ready to write my mom's book about her life and her experience with lupus and experiencing kidney failure, traumas, and it's helping her heal. I've never seen my mom, act like a healthy teenage girl until most recent days, and it's so cool to see her finally relax a little bit because she's been through a lot forever, and I just want her to be able to talk about what she's going through. So when the industry slows down, I just make sure that I stay focused and keep my head down on the things that keep me going because losing so many family members along the way of doing this thing, it really just helps you see what's most important, at
Gotcha.
least for you. Yeah.
That's amazing. And you're writing a book about basically autobiography about your mom. And how do you stay focused and how do you prevent from burning out? Because I know sometimes people have a lot of projects, and sometimes I know probably at times you probably felt that weight a little bit, even though you're literally focused on doing
Man,
what you can. How do you prevent burnout?
I might be the worst person to ask that advice because I go until I do burnout sometimes. I've started to realize a pattern. I get sick the first week of every January. And I'll sleep for like 5 days straight, and now I've been slacking a little bit. So I'll be transparent. I've been slacking, but meditations helped me a lot. Being able to still be aware of my father's energy, my grandfather's, that it's a nice reset for me. Having a partner that goes hard too. We're both in here for a purpose, with a purpose. We have our web series called Love in the Corner Office, and that little corner office in our web series that's our factory. We're working on projects together. We're doing our own things, and we just want to see our dreams come true while we're able to enjoy it. So, right now I'm willing to sacrifice days and months of sleep to be able to get to where we want to go. And dealing with dealing with so much loss and dealing with so much regret sometimes, being away from family, that could keep you up at night, but it could also make that drive. Like, I want to be able to pay for family vacations one day, and my mom and my brothers and sisters not have to worry about it, and we just be able to enjoy and not have to, be on a go 24/7. I want to be able to, enjoy time with my grandmother. So, the burnout, I'm not too concerned about right now. I take my rest when I need it, when I absolutely need it. I do meditate. I don't prefer to, get to burnout, but if it's all a preference. If I feel inclined to do a project for a week at a time, then I'll do a project for that week. If I feel like I need to take a break from it, then I'll take a break and I'll focus on something else. There's times I honestly, like, last year I spent 950 hours on playing WWE. And like,
who's your go-to?
My go-to?
Yes.
The Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I got a Uso shirt, a Down Since Day One shirt that Vince got me, since I was one of the day one people who helped along the way of Keon Sports.
That's a smart man right there. That's good taste. That's what's up. I got me a head of the table t-shirt. It felt too fitting at the time. But yeah, man. I love playing WWE. I just started posting like wrestling game clips. That's been my guilty pleasure for a very, very long time. So it's cool to be able to create a world based around these wrestlers and being able to, share my my wrestling knowledge a little bit. So, that's what keeps me, on the other side of burnout, on the opposite side of burnout. So,
yep.
I make sure I take that time to relax a little bit too.
Oh yeah, there's a time to work and there's definitely a time to relax and a time to play, which is probably what I'll be doing when College Football 25 comes out.
Oh, big time next month.
Yep. I think they're releasing a trailer tomorrow.
Oh my goodness, I'm not ready. I can't say it yet, but I'm gonna wait. But we got to do a follow up at some point too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% down. 100%.
Absolutely.
And what advice would you give any people out there that are just going after it? What's some advice for someone who's starting? Maybe it doesn't matter what age they are. Maybe they're in high school, 20s, 30s like us, or even in their 40s and 50s.
One, it's never too late, never too early to pursue acting. There's a role for everybody. The difference between booking the role and looking like an actor is really being true with yourself, being real with yourself, and understanding that you can't, when they say don't judge a character, you can't judge any character because there's ugly parts and there's good parts to all of us. So we have to make sure that if we're going to pursue acting or anything in life, art, make sure that the art is just coming from your soul, because nothing resonates more with people than something truly authentic to what you have to offer naturally to the world. So
perfect. That's a great way to look at it. And last but not least, where can people find your work at?
You can find my work actually on DantesXJames.com. On my website, I have blogs of acting clips, my experiences on the different movie sets. I have all of my merch from every book that I've written. I'm getting ready to have merch for, Beautiful Hue t-shirts. We all do Dumb Thing hoodies and t-shirts. And I also have an ambassador program. So if anybody would like to collaborate and, rep the brand, please feel free to hit me up, because you could get a promo code and you'll make back 10 to 15% based off of every sale that you make. So, I'm really trying to blow this thing up and make it into a brand. And, the website, Dantes X James, is where you can find everything.
Thank you, Dantes, for jumping on the show. We'll definitely have to do a part 2 of this. And
absolutely.
Thank you all for tuning in. You can check out Tapped In with Tony on Spotify and YouTube and wherever you stream your podcast. So thank you guys for tuning in, and take care.
Hey, thank you, Tony.
I'm just trying to chase dreams, but I think they chase me. No other motive in between. Life is never what it seems. I'm just trying to chase dreams.